The ship named Pathfinder moved slowly through the dark empty space near the moon of Altair 6. Captain June Kim stood on the bridge, looking at the view screen. The moon below was gray and broken. Once, it had been a place with bases and outposts. Now it was just a mess of craters and ruins. "Scan complete, Captain," said Officer Tay at the controls. "No active power sources. No ships in orbit. The place is dead." Captain Kim nodded. He was not surprised. The war between the Dorvan and the Metra had been going on for almost 30 years. They had fought over this moon because of its good position, but in the end, they had destroyed everything of value on it. "Any signs of danger?" Kim asked. "No, sir," said Tay. "Just ruins and dust." Kim made a decision. "Tell the survey team to get ready. Standard safety rules. We go down, we look around, and we come back up. No risks." Lieutenant Sue Park led the survey team. She was young but smart and careful. Kim trusted her. The team went down to the surface in a small shuttle. Kim watched from the bridge as the shuttle landed near what looked like it had once been a Dorvan military base. "Command, this is Park," came the voice over the radio. "We have landed safely. Beginning survey now." For an hour, the team sent back pictures and data. They found broken machines, empty buildings, and signs of battle. But nothing useful or interesting. Then Park's voice came back, sounding different. Excited. "Captain, we're getting a strange reading. Some kind of life sign." Kim sat up straight in his chair. "What kind of life sign? Be specific." "It's coming from under a pile of rubble," Park said. "It's weak but steady. And sir, it's big. Bigger than a human." "Could be a trap," said Security Chief Han, who stood behind the captain. Kim thought, for a moment. The Dorvan were known for using living weapons, creatures they made in their labs. But why would they leave one behind? And after so many years? "Lieutenant Park, approach with caution. Take Han's security team with you, but remember, we're explorers first." The bridge crew watched through the team's cameras as they carefully moved pieces of broken wall and metal. The life sign got stronger. Then Park's voice came through, filled with surprise. "Sir, you need to see this." The camera showed a large creature, partly buried under rubble. It looked a bit like a dog from Earth, but much bigger, the size of a small horse. Its skin was a dark blue-gray color with patches of what looked like armor growing from its body. One of its legs was badly hurt. A piece of metal was stuck in its side. The creature's eyes were closed, but its chest moved slightly as it breathed. "It's a Tarek," said Dr. Hannah Lee, the ship's scientist who studied alien life. She had joined them on the bridge when the life sign was found. A Dorvan war beast. Kim had heard of these creatures. The Dorvan made them in labs, changing them to be stronger, faster, and smarter than normal animals. They used them in battle. They were weapons, not pets. "Is it dangerous?" Kim asked. "Very," Dr. Lee said. "They're made to kill. But this one is badly hurt. It might die soon." The camera zoomed in on the creature's neck. There was a metal collar with lights that blinked weakly. "That's a control collar," Dr. Lee explained. "The Dorvan use them to give orders to the Tereks, and to punish them if they don't obey." Kim felt a chill. He didn't like the idea of using living things as tools. "Can we help it?" Dr. Lee looked surprised. "Help it?" "Captain, this is a weapon, not a pet. The Dorvan made it to kill their enemies. If it wakes up, it might try to kill us too." Security Chief Han nodded. "I agree, sir. We should leave it, or put it out of its misery. Bringing it on board would be too risky." Kim walked closer to the screen. The creature looked pitiful. Its breathing was shallow. Blood, dark purple, not red, leaked from its wounds. "Look at its side," Kim said quietly. "That's not battle damage. That metal was put there on purpose, and those burns and someone did that to it." Dr. Lee looked closer. "You're right. Those are punishment marks. Sometimes when a Tarek fails a mission, the Dorvan heard it as a lesson. Or if a Tarek is too badly injured to be useful anymore, they dispose of it." "You mean they torture it and leave it to die?" Kim said, his voice hard. The bridge was quiet for a moment. "Captain, Park's voice came through. What do you want us to do? Kim looked at the dying creature on the screen. Then he looked at his crew. Some looked worried. Others looked sad. Humanity didn't come to the stars to be cruel like this, he said. We didn't come all this way to see suffering and just walk away. We came to be better than we were on Earth. He turned back to the screen. Lieutenant Park, prepare the creature for transport to the ship. Dr. Lee, set up the medical bay for an alien patient. Security, I want guards present at all times. Sir, Han started to object. Regulations say, I know what the rules say, Kim interrupted. But sometimes being human means knowing when to break the rules. We're bringing it aboard. The next few hours were busy and tense. Moving the creature was hard. It was heavy, and they had to be careful not to make its injuries worse. They used the shuttle's anti-gravity lifts to float it back to the ship. In the medical bay, Dr. Lee and her team worked quickly. The Terek was in bad shape. Besides the obvious wounds, it had internal injuries, burns from the control collar, and signs of starvation. The Dorvan left it to die, Dr. Lee told Kim as they stood watching the medical team work. The collar has a punishment setting that was activated. It causes pain. Based on the readings, it's been suffering for days. Kim's face showed anger. Can you remove the collar? Yes, but carefully, Dr. Lee said. It has sensors. If we remove it wrong, it might hurt the creature more. Or it might have a tracker that would alert the Dorvan. Do what you need to do, Kim said. But the collar comes off. No living thing deserves to be controlled like that. As the medical team worked to save the alien war dog, Kim went back to the bridge. He knew there would be consequences for his decision. The Dorvan might claim the creature as their property. His superiors might say he broke protocol. But looking at the stars through the view screen, he felt sure he had done the right thing. Humanity's path among the stars would not be marked by the same cruelty they had left behind on Earth. Even if this creature had been made for war, it deserved compassion, and the humans of the Pathfinder would give it what its own makers had not: a chance to live. For 3 days, the alien war dog did not wake up. Dr. Hanali and her helper, Medic Dae-Yoon, worked hard to save its life. They had never treated a Terek before. They had to learn about its body as they worked. Its blood is different from ours, Dr. Lee told Captain Kim during one of his many visits to the medical bay. It has 2 hearts, and its brain is bigger than it should be for an animal this size. The creature lay on a special bed. Tubes went into its body to give it medicine. Machines beeped softly, showing that it was still alive. Will it live? Kim asked. Dr. Lee looked tired. She had not slept much in 3 days. I think so, but I don't know if that's good or bad for us. Security Chief Han stood by the door with a stun gun. He was always there when the captain visited. Sir, I still think this is a mistake. These creatures are made to kill. So are bombs and guns, Kim said. But they only kill when someone makes them do it. Dr. Lee pointed to the creature's head. We found something interesting. There's tech in its brain. The Dorvan put machines inside it to control it better. That's why it has a bigger brain to hold the tech. What kind of tech? Kim asked. Control systems, Dr. Lee said. We think the collar would send signals to these implants. They could make it feel pain if it didn't obey orders. Kim looked angry. So they built a smart animal and then tortured it to make it obey? Yes, said Dr. Lee. And based on what we've found, this one was punished badly before they left it. The pain centers in its brain showed damage from too much use. The captain stood quietly, watching the creature breathe. Does it have a name? Did you find any ID? Dr. Lee shook her head. Just a number in its implants, D7291. That's not a name, Kim said. That's an inventory number. Young engineer Ji Ho had been sitting quietly in the corner of the medical bay. He had visited the creature many times, watching it for hours. Now he spoke up. We should call it Bayek, he said. Everyone looked at him. It means bright in Old Korean, Ji Ho explained. Because even though the Dorvan tried to make it just a weapon, there's a bright mind in there. I can tell. Captain Kim smiled. Back it is. On the 4th day, Beck opened his eyes. The first person he saw was Ji-ho, who had fallen asleep in a chair next to the bed. The Tarek made a low sound, not quite a growl. Ji-ho woke up fast. He looked into the creature's eyes. They were deep amber with black centers that got smaller as they focused on him. "Hello, Beck," Ji-ho said softly. "My name is Ji-ho. You're safe now." The Tarak's muscles tensed. Ji-ho could see it was scared and confused. He didn't move. He just kept talking in a calm voice. "The people who hurt you are gone. We found you and brought you here to help you get better. No one is going to hurt you here." The creature watched him closely. Ji-ho could almost see it thinking. Then Security Chief Han came in, and Beck growled loudly. His fur stood up along his back. "Don't move," Ji-ho said to Han. He's scared. Dr. Lee came in next. She checked the machines by Bayek's bed. His heart rates are up. He's stressed. "Of course he is," Ji-ho said. "He doesn't know where he is or who we are." Captain Kim entered the room. Unlike Han, he didn't carry a weapon. He walked slowly to the bed and looked at Bayek. "Welcome aboard the Pathfinder, Bayek," he said. "You have nothing to fear from us." The next few days were hard. Beck did not trust the humans. He would not eat at first. He growled when anyone except Ji-ho came near him. But slowly, he began to understand that these humans were different from the Dorvan who had controlled him. Ji-ho spent most of his time with Beck. He talked to him like he could understand everything, and soon the crew began to think that maybe he could. "Watch this," Ji-ho said to Captain Kim one day. He put 3 colored balls on the floor. "Beck, can you bring me the blue one?" The Tarek looked at the balls. Then he picked up the blue one in his mouth and brought it to Ji-ho. "Now the red one." Beck did it again. "That's a simple trick," Han said. "Dogs on Earth can do that." "Okay," said Ji-ho. He took out a tablet and drew shapes on it. "Beck, what's this?" The Tarek looked at the drawing of a circle. Then he used his paw to draw a circle on the floor. Kim's eyes got wide. "That's not a trick, that's understanding." Ji-ho nodded. "I think the Dorvan made the Tareks much smarter than they told anyone. Not just smart like a good dog. Smart like a person." Dr. Lee joined them, looking excited. "I've been studying the tech in his brain. It's not just for control. It helps him communicate. The Dorvan would give orders through it." "Can we use it to talk to him?" Kim asked. "Maybe," Ji-ho said. "I've been working on something." The next day, Ji-ho brought a small device to the medical bay. He had made it himself. "It's a simple interface," he explained to Bayek, as if the Tarak could understand him perfectly. "It might help us understand each other better." He gently placed the device on Bayek's head, near where Dr. Lee had found the implants. It had lights that changed color. "I think the Dorvan used colors to communicate. Basic things to the Tareks," Ji-ho said. "Red for danger, blue for calm, that kind of thing. But I made this to work both ways." He turned it on. At first, nothing happened. Then the lights on the device turned a soft blue. "He's curious," Ji-ho said. "The blue means he's not scared or angry." Over the next few days, Ji-ho improved his device. Soon it could show more complex feelings. The crew learned that Beck was not just smart, but also had deep feelings. He could be sad, happy, confused, or grateful. One night, when only Ji-ho was with him, the device showed a pattern Ji-ho had never seen before. It pulsed with many colors. "What are you trying to tell me, Beck?" Ji-ho asked. The Tarek put his big head against Ji-ho's chest. The engineer carefully put his arms around the creature's neck, feeling the strong muscles under the blue-gray fur. "You're trying to say thank you, aren't you?" Ji-ho said softly. The lights flashed a bright, happy blue. Word spread through the ship that the alien war dog was not just a weapon, but a thinking being who had been treated badly by his makers. The crew members started to visit him. Even Han began to soften toward Bayek. "Just be careful," Han told Ji-ho one day. "The Dorvan might come looking for their property." Ji-ho looked at Bayek, who was now strong enough to walk around the medical bay. "He's not property. He's a person." A different kind of person, but still a person. Captain Kim knew there would be trouble when they reached Starbase 12. The Dorvan and the Metra both had diplomats there. They would both want the Tarek. But they can't have him, Kim told his officers at a meeting. He's not a thing to be owned, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise. As the Pathfinder traveled through space toward the starbase, Beck got stronger, every day. And the bond between him and the humans, especially Ji-Ho, grew stronger too. For the first time in his life, the war dog knew what it was like to be treated with kindness instead of just as a tool for war. The Pathfinder arrived at Starbase 12 on a quiet Tuesday morning. Captain June Kim had hoped they might slip in without much notice. That hope died when they saw 3 Dorvan ships and 2 Metra ships already docked at the station. "They know," said Officer Tay from his control panel. "We're getting messages from both the Dorvan and Metra ambassadors. They want to meet as soon as we dock." Kim nodded. He had expected this. News traveled fast in space even when you didn't want it to. Someone must have reported finding a Tarak. "Tell them I'll meet with them in 3 hours, Kim said. "I need to get my crew and our guest settled first." Down in the medical bay, Ji-Ho was helping Beck get ready to leave the ship. The Tarak was now fully healed. His blue-gray fur shone. His amber eyes were bright and alert. He wore a new collar that Ji-Ho had made, which had the communication device built into it. "We're going to stay on the station for a while," Ji-Ho told Bayek. "There might be some trouble. Some people might try to take you away, but we won't let them." The lights on Bayek's collar flashed yellow, the color for you are worry or concern. "Don't be afraid," Ji-Ho said, putting his hand on Bayek's big head. "Captain Kim will fight for you, we all will." When they left the ship, people on the station stopped and stared. Most had never seen a Tarek up close before. Some looked scared, others looked curious. Bayek stayed close to Ji-Ho, his large body, moving with a grace that surprised many who saw him. 3 hours later, Captain Kim sat at a large table in the station's meeting room. With him were Dr. Lee and Security Chief Han. Across from them sat Ambassador Rhett of the Dorvan and Ambassador Pell of the Metra. Both looked angry. "The Tarek is Dorvan military property," said Ambassador Rhett. His skin was pale green and he had 4 eyes that all blinked at different times. "You had no right to take it." "We didn't take it," Kim said calmly. "We found it abandoned and injured. Your people left it to die." "That is our right," Rhett said. "The beast failed its mission. It was punishment." Kim's face showed his disgust. "Punishment? You tortured a thinking being and left it to die slowly." Ambassador Pell spoke next. "The Metra looked more like humans than the Dorvan did, but their skin was covered in small scales. If you won't return it to the Dorvan, then give it to us. We will study it and learn much about Dorvan military technology." "So you can make your own war beasts?" Dr. Lee asked. "No, that's not going to happen either." The meeting went on for hours. The Dorvan threatened to report Kim to Earth's government. The Metra offered to pay a lot of money for Bayek. Kim refused both. "The Tarak, his name is Bayek, is not a thing to be owned," Kim said firmly. "He thinks, he feels, he communicates. He is a person, not property." Ambassador Rhett laughed. It was not a nice sound. "A person? It is a weapon we created in our labs. Nothing more." "Then why did you give it a brain that can think?" Kim asked. "Why did you put tech in its head to help it understand complex commands? You made it smart enough to be a person, then treated it like a thing." The meeting ended with no agreement. The Dorvan and Metra both said they would take the matter to higher authorities. Kim knew this meant trouble, but he did not back down. Back, in their rooms on the station, Kim told his crew what had happened. "This will go all the way to Earth's United Space Command," he said. "There will be a hearing, maybe a trial. We need to be ready." Ji-Ho looked worried. "What if they rule against us? What if they make us give Beck back to the Dorvan?" "They won't," Kim said, but his voice didn't sound sure. For the next 2 weeks, they waited on the station. The case got a lot of attention. People from many planets were talking about it. Some thought Kim was right to save Bayek. Others thought, He should not have taken what belonged to the Dorvan. Jiho spent the time working on his communication device. He made it better every day. Now Beck could share not just feelings but simple thoughts. He understands everything we say, Jiho told the crew one evening. And he remembers everything from his life before. He remembers being trained. He remembers fighting in battles. And he remembers being punished when he couldn't complete a mission because he was too badly hurt. Dr. Lee had been studying Beck too. She found that his brain was much more complex than anyone had thought. The Dorvan made the Terraks too smart, she said. They wanted them smart enough to follow complex orders but not smart enough to question those orders. But they went too far. Beck doesn't just think, he knows he thinks. He understands he is alive and has worth. Finally, word came that representatives from Earth's United Space Command were coming to the station. They would hold a hearing to decide Bayek's fate. The hearing was held in a large room. Many people came to watch. Captain Kim and his crew sat on one side. The Dorvan and Metra ambassadors sat on the other. 3 human judges sat at the front. The head judge, an older woman named Judge Yoon, spoke first. We are here to decide if the creature known as Beck, a Dorvan Terrak, is property or a sentient being with rights. For hours, both sides gave their arguments. The Dorvan showed pictures of how they made the Terraks in their labs. The Metra showed videos of Terraks fighting in battles. They both said the Terraks were just tools made for war. Then it was Kim's turn. He told the story of finding Beck hurt and left to die. He talked about how Beck had learned to trust them, and how he showed clear signs of thinking and feeling. Dr. Lee showed brain scans that proved Beck's mind worked in ways similar to human minds. She explained how the tech in his head had been used to cause him pain. The Dorvan made the Terraks too well, she said. They created a new form of intelligent life, then refused to see what they had done. Then Jiho stood up. He had Beck with him, sitting calmly by his side. I'd like to show you something, Jiho said. He had worked hard on a new version of his communication device. Beck can now speak for himself. The judges looked surprised. The Dorvan ambassador laughed again. Jiho put a small device on the table. It connected to Bayek's collar. Then he said, Beck, would you like to tell the judges how you feel about going back to the Dorvan? The device lit up. Then, to everyone's shock, a voice came from it. The voice was odd and mechanical, but the words were clear. I do not want to go back, the voice said. They hurt me. They made me kill. When I got hurt and could not fight, they turned on the pain and left me to die. The room went completely quiet. Even the Dorvan ambassador stopped smiling. Beck continued to speak through the device. The humans found me. They fixed my body. They did not cause me pain. They talked to me like I was real. They gave me a name. One of the judges leaned forward. Beck, do you understand what is happening here today? Yes, the mechanical voice said. You decide if I am a thing or a person. If I am a thing, I go back to pain and fighting. If I am a person, I stay with the humans who saved me. The third judge asked, And what do you think you are? A thing or a person? There was a pause. Then Beck's voice came again. I remember. I feel fear and happiness. I know I am alive. Does that not make me a person? The hearing room stayed quiet for a long time after Beck finished speaking. Judge Yoon finally broke the silence. We will consider all we have heard today, she said. We will give our decision tomorrow. As they left the hearing room, Jiho put his arm around Beck's neck. You did well, he said. Now we wait. That night, none of the crew from the Pathfinder could sleep. They were all too worried about what would happen to Beck. Would the judges see that he was more than just a weapon? Or would they give him back to the Dorvan? The fate of one alien war dog had become a test of humanity's values among the stars. The next morning, the hearing room was even more crowded than before. News of a talking Terrak had spread quickly. Many people wanted to see what would happen. Captain Kim and his crew sat in the same places as yesterday. Bayek sat between Jiho and Dr. Lee. The Dorvan and Metra ambassadors looked angry but also worried. Judge Yoon and the other 2 judges came in. Everyone stood up, then sat down again when the judges took their seats. "We have thought about this case all night, Judge," Yoon said. "It is not easy. The Dorvans say they made the Tereks, so they own them. The law has always said that things people make belong to the makers." The Dorvan ambassador smiled. He thought he was going to win, but, Judge Yoon continued, "the law also says that thinking beings have rights. They cannot be owned." Now, Captain, Kim looked hopeful. "The question is Beck a thing or a person? We have studied all the evidence. We have watched the recording of Beck speaking. We have looked at Dr. Lee's brain scans." The room was completely quiet. Everyone waited for the decision. "We have decided," Judge Yoon said, "that Bayek and all Tereks are sentient beings with rights. They are not property. They cannot be owned." The room exploded with noise. Some people cheered. Others looked shocked. The Dorvan ambassador stood up and shouted something in his own language. It didn't sound nice. "Silence," called Judge Yoon. When the room was quiet again, she continued, "This means that Bayek is free to choose where he goes and what he does. No one can force him to go anywhere or do anything." She looked at Beck. "Beck, what do you want to do now? Where do you want to go?" Jiho's device translated her words for Bayek. The Terek looked around the room at the angry Dorvan, the disappointed Metra, and then at the humans who had saved him. Through the device, he said, "I want to stay with the humans. I want to learn. I want to help other Tereks." Judge Yoon nodded. "Then that is what will happen." The decision changed everything. News of it spread across all human space and beyond. Many people were happy about it. They thought it was right to treat the Tereks as people. Others were worried. They thought it might cause problems with the Dorvan and Metra. They were right to worry. The Dorvan were very angry. They said they would not talk to humans anymore. The Metra were not as angry, but they were not happy either. But something else happened too. On planets where the Dorvan used Tereks, some of the war dogs began to fight back. They had heard about Bayek and the human decision. They knew now that they could be free. 6 months after the hearing, Captain Kim stood in a green field on Earth. He was not a captain anymore. He had left his job on the Pathfinder to work on a new project, a place for Tereks to live and learn. Field was part of a big area of land that Earth's government had given for this purpose. There were buildings for the Tereks to live in and places for them to run and play. There were schools too where they could learn. Jiho was there with Kim. He had also left the Pathfinder. He now worked full-time making better communication devices for the Tereks. "Look," Jiho said, pointing across the field. Beck was running with 3 other Tereks. They had been rescued from a Dorvan training center. They had been afraid at first, just like Beck had been, but now they were learning what it meant to be free. "He's teaching them to play," Kim said with a smile, "something the Dorvan never let them do." Dr. Lee walked up to them. She had a tablet in her hand. "I have news," she said. 10 more Tereks were rescued yesterday from a Dorvan outpost. They'll be here next week. How many does that make now?" Kim asked. "Over 100, Dr. Lee said, "and we think there are thousands more still out there." The rescue of Tereks had become a big project for humans. Special teams went to places where Tereks were kept. They helped the war dogs escape and brought them to Earth. The Dorvan tried to stop this. They said the humans were stealing. But many other alien species now agreed with the humans. The Tereks should be free. Some of the rescued Tereks were in bad shape when they arrived. They had been hurt like Beck had been. They didn't trust anyone. But slowly, with help from Beck and the humans, they learned that they could have a life without war and pain. Jiho had made his communication devices even better. Now the Tereks could speak easily through them. They could learn and share their thoughts. 1 year after the hearing, something special happened. The Galactic Council, which had members from many alien species, asked to hear from the Tereks. They wanted to know more about these beings that had been made for war but were now living in peace. Beck was chosen to speak for all Tereks. Jiho went with him to the council meeting. The room was much bigger than the hearing room had been. Representatives from 50 different species were there. Jiho had made a special device for this event. It allowed Bayek to speak through a hologram. The hologram looked like a mix of a Tarek and a human. It could show expressions and move like a person. When it was time, Beck stepped onto a platform. The hologram appeared in the center of the room where everyone could see it. Then Beck began to speak through it. For as long as we Tareks can remember, we knew only war and pain, the hologram said, moving its hands as it spoke. We were made to fight and kill. We were beaten when we failed. We were thrown away when we were too hurt to be useful. The council members listened carefully. The Dorvan made us smart so we could understand battle plans. But they did not want us to be too smart. They did not want us to know that we were slaves. The hologram's face looked sad. But we did know. We always knew. We just could not say it. We had no words, no way to tell them. We are alive. We think. We feel pain. We matter. Then the hologram smiled. And then the humans found one of us. They saw past what we were made to do. They saw who we really are. In saving one abandoned war dog, humans showed the galaxy a new way to think about life. Not just life that grows, but life that is made. Beck looked at Jiho, who stood proudly nearby. Today, more than 300 Tereks live free. We are learning. We are growing in ways our makers never wanted. Some of us help find and rescue other Tereks. Some of us study. Some of us make art. The hologram spread its arms wide. We are a new kind of people in this galaxy. Made for war, but choosing peace. And we owe our freedom to the humans who saw a person where others saw only a weapon. When Bayek finished speaking, the council room was quiet for a moment. Then the members began to clap and cheer. Many had tears in their eyes. As Bayek and Jiho left the platform, the Tarek leaned his big head against the human side. No words were needed between them now. They both knew what they had done together. They had changed the galaxy, one alien war dog at a time.